During today's episode, myself and Robert discuss a Facebook post under the hashtag 22a-day. These posts shed a vivid picture on suicide and how hurting people take their own lives because they don't know any other way out. We are asking all who either deal with suicidal thoughts or know someone dealing with this mental illness to seek help. Suicide is not the answer to a temporary problem. To all the caregivers listening, and being the action is our only plea. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Please, let me explain. 1, it is free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from the phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many others. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So please, download the free Anchor app and go to anchor.fm and get started today.
The Ear, Evangelical and Reformed Christian Podcast. Welcome to The Ear, the Evangelical and Reformed, a Christian podcast that urges you to think deeper and draws you closer to God through faith. Through powerful sermons, teaching segments, and discussions, The Ear hopes to give you a different perspective on secular topics from a Christian worldview. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Please welcome your host, Brandon Queen.
Good morning, podcast world, and welcome to yet another episode of The Ear. We are trekking along with Season 3, Suicide and Hope. And today we're going to take a different approach with a Facebook post that myself and my roommate Robert came across. And we're going to read it and dissect each segment for you, just to kind of give you an idea of what the message stated. So without further ado, how you doing, Robert?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Brandon?
I is good. You want to go ahead and give us the background to this story?
Sure. I came across it the other day. As being a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, they always have the suicide awareness of 22 a day. You might have seen on TV, advertised on the internet. It's basically advising people that 22 veterans commit suicide every day due to depression, PTSD, not able to fit and cope with, normal life. So I ran across this, and it's hashtag 22 a day, and it's about a gentleman named Nicholas. I'm going to probably mess the middle name up. Joachim Lazar. He was born March 22nd, 1997. His end of life was August 14, 2019. He was only 22 years old.
Wow. Well, his girlfriend, I'm assuming that's his girlfriend, right?
That wrote this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his girlfriend wrote, I'm guessing from the day she started to notice a change in Nicholas's life from October 3rd to 2018 all the way to basically October 1st, 2019. So we're going to read each segment and kind of dissect it. And we're going to show you that she basically did everything she could as far as, trying to prevent Nicholas from committing suicide. So on October 3rd, 2018, we met. We started talking, and at first it was nothing but friendly. We were learning all about each other. The things we liked, we learned about our past and all the things we've been through. I knew then that you've had a really hard last few years. So, reading that, what do you think she meant?
What I'm guessing is possibly his service in the military, his last few years, probably his deployments, what he experienced, what he saw, what he has to live with. All veterans, especially people like me who's been overseas, it's something we have to live with for the rest of our lives. It's not going to go away.
Gotcha. And then she goes on and does another diary entry, if you will, for November 8th, 2018. Can you read that for me?
Yeah. We started dating, going out on dates, spending time with each other, planning out what we wanted to do with our lives together. You moved back to Georgia soon after. We FaceTimed every day. We talked about me and the kids moving down and all of us just being a family.
You know, and after reading that, it seems like the girlfriend was trying to plan a life and basically bring meaning and stability to Nicholas's life. You know, and often, given the fact that I know you and what you've been through, a lot of people that go to the military need some sort of stability. Mm-hmm. All right. Or for lack of better words, anybody dealing with any suicidal thoughts actually need some type of stability to kind of help them cope and get through the day. Yep. Obviously, medicine can help with that, but family is what brings everybody closer together.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Now, January 1st, 2019.
You were coming home from your New Year's party. You told me you hadn't been drinking. Your truck hydroplaned off the road and you hit a tree. You were so upset. You didn't know what you were going to do. Months later, you told me that you drove off the road and you tried to hit a tree, but the ground was wet and pulled the truck and you struck the tree in a different way than you wanted. You had lived when you didn't want to.
Now, after reading that, we did an episode on recognizing the signs. She recognized the sign as soon as he told her that. Okay. What do you think else she could have possibly done in that time frame?
No, the only thing I could think she could have done at that time frame is, I guess, talk to him, be there for him, say, hey, whatever your problem is, please open up to me. You know, if you're going through harsh times, what's your mind thinking? Explain it. I know I'm not going to be, 100% in your mind and know what you're thinking, but help me to help you. That's the only thing I could say best on that one.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is whenever we're dealing with a suicidal person with that kind of mental capacity, if you will, and I'm not saying this guy was mentally incapable of doing things, but his mental status was altered by what his time in the military. So one thing I am going to recommend that we do is figure out what is your state's laws on persons that are thinking about committing suicide. Because here in Louisiana, if that comment is made, they have the right to go to the coroner's office and actually get what we call an order of protective custody. And then that would, force the person with the thoughts to go and get evaluated by medical personnel and then possibly seek
psychological, sir.
Thank you. Psychological help to help them cope through and get through their issues, or I guess get medicated, if you will.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to January 13th, 2019.
You want me to go?
Yes.
We split up. We lived 1,000 miles apart. We lived two different lives. You needed time to heal your mind, and you weren't mentally capable of maintaining a relationship while you were trying to build yourself up.
Don't mind the pager. But here I think, now I'm not clear if she initiated the split up or was it him?
That's the thing. It doesn't specify in this journal entry. It just says we split up. We lived 1,000 miles apart. I'm thinking that he probably did say, I can't do this. I can't. I'm not the one for you. You got to remember, I'm having these problems. It's just not going to work. I'm guessing that's might have what could have happened. Again, the journal entry isn't specific of what exactly went on, just that they split up.
Yeah, and she probably could have went back home. Mm-hmm. He's from Georgia. She moved there to be with him, so she probably went home.
Yeah, I believe she lives in New York.
Okay, that's probably more than 1,000 miles. But anyway, that's not the point. So she probably initiated it to kind of give him space, and you're probably right. He probably did say, I don't think I can do this, and that right there is a sure sign that he is telling her, or he's trying to make it as worse as possible of a breakup to where if he did commit suicide, it wasn't on her. That's probably what he was getting at.
Probably.
Okay. Now, March, she skipped a few months and she jumped to March 28th, 2019.
You want me to go again?
Yep.
I'll just finish the rest. How
yes.
about that? You called me. We FaceTimed for 3 hours because you weren't doing okay. You were sitting in your car with the garage door closed. Your car was on. I made you open the garage door and turn off your car. I talked to you until you felt okay again. That night you promised you would get the help you needed, and we got back together.
Okay, so obviously she felt the need to be there for him. And that is what I would call a servant heart. You know, somebody that sees the needs of others and is willing to run to that and help that person, no matter what the cost is. And I'm going to commend her for doing that, because I think at that moment in his life, he was probably at his lowest. All right. Or basically at the tipping point, if you will.
And I commend her too, due to the fact that I'm not saying a lot, but there are people out there that if this would have happened to their relationship and they heard their loved one was in a car with it running with the garage closed, they'd leave. They'd be like, this guy's crazy. I can't be with him or her.
Right. And she, you know, she took the bull by the horns, if you will, you know, and kudos to her.
I agree.
And then we jump over to April 20th, 2019.
I came to see you. We drank wine and made cookies. We got wine drunk in your kitchen. We talked for hours about how you weren't okay. We talked about how in every relationship there's a gardener and a flower, and you needed to be the flower for a while. We held each other close. I realized that day that no matter what issues we could have, my apologies. That no matter what issues we could have, you were the one.
So again, she is owning this relationship. You know, she knows this dude is mentally messed up, but she is willing to walk that walk with him. And I remember saying this in several of my previous episodes with Barbara Roberts that, you know, especially from a Christian standpoint, we're called to walk with people in their time of need. All right. We're not called to run away from them. And even though later back on a couple of her journal entries, she did move away 1,000 miles, but she was still in a sense there, just not there in person.
She was there spiritually.
Right. So given the fact that she owned her relationship and was like, you know, this is mine, no matter what the problems are, I'm going to be here.
And we'll stick through it together.
And you know, and honestly, folks, that sounds like marriage material. You know, that's the kind of relationship you want in a marriage. And I know she's only dating this guy, and she knows that he's messed up, and she knows what his problems are. She is willing and wanting to push through with this. And that is the number one thing we need to do. We recognize the sign, and then we kind of see and we listen and we hear, and then what's next? We act. And she's starting to do that as we move through the journal. All right, where are we at?
May 14th, 2019.
Go ahead.
You came to New York to spend a week with me for my birthday. You were there for Addie's diagnose. Can't talk tonight. You climbed most of the way up Blue Mountain with me. We got engaged, and then we went drinking on my birthday. You ended up telling me that you still weren't okay. You went home after that week and started work at your new job.
So he found something that could probably help him, but he still wasn't okay. You know, and that, I'm not going to criticize her, but I think at that point, I would have probably reached out to his family.
And I'll add something. In that entry, you can tell that they went to New York, or he did, for her birthday, and they drank. I don't recommend drinking with anybody who has these problems, because alcohol will induce depression worse or cause the instability of the suicidal thoughts to get worse and worse and worse. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. All right, June 14th, 2019. I moved down to Georgia. It was an extremely exciting time. We found out I was pregnant. The excitement of being a parent was all you talked about. You helped me to be the parent I always wanted to be. You showed me a different side of me that I never knew was there. We spent every night in each other's arms. Everything seemed okay. I knew you still needed help. You gave me little cues all the time. You left the house a few times with your dad's ashes and a pistol. But I always talked you down and convinced you to come home to me. You never went when I asked you to. But I kept asking, kept reminding you how important it was. All right. So that particular, that's the highlight of this whole particular episode, was that she kept reassuring him his worth. You know, despite you're depressed, despite you're going through this, despite, you know, you got your dad's pistol and ashes, you are worth something to, you know, to me, the kid that's unborn.
Right, and even the kid that was born, because
It's Abby, one from the